I've seen you have been following you for the last at least 4 years, and you've been
I believe
working
so. Yeah, me
non-stop.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, you've
yeah,
been
me
working
too.
non-stop, and you're receiving awards and this stuff. We know you're doing the work in the community, so let's not just give you awards. Let's also give you some support behind all of that. But absolutely, you deserve all of the recognition that you receive, and for
Much
those
appreciated.
who continue to do work like you, definitely would wish you all the courage and continue to do that. Maybe my next question, I want to more bring it to the future and maybe go back into the work that you do as a speaker, but also as a mentor. Where do you think, and I want to talk about maybe on a general level, where do you think our community goes as continental African Canadians in terms of dealing with the challenges that we face?
I mean, I believe we have more work to be done. There's some more work that we need to do personally and collectively, to see each other succeed. For me, my whole mindset is that like we need to support each other, regardless of what country you're from. As long as you're black, you're African, you're Canadian, Canadian African, like we need to support each other because when we come collectively and support each other, you see everybody thrives, everybody becomes successful in any given field or what you call it, job or occupation that they're in. Supporting each other is very, very important. And I feel like there has been a little lack of support in terms of um, us coming together to support each other. I mean, we see what's happening in Nigeria, in other countries, Ethiopia, Congo, all these stuff going on. And honestly, I want to recommend. I want to give a clap for the youth in Nigeria. Just saying enough is enough. They come together. They unite. Now they're
Mm.
supporting each other. To end the police brutality that's happening in Nigeria. You see them protesting peacefully. Trying to show that this is what they demand. They demand fairness. They demand equality in their own country. And to me, this is not something new. Uh, every time we go back home, it happens to most of us too. Like when you go back home because they see you that you're a foreigner, you don't live in Nigeria or in Ghana. Police usually stops you. They want bribe, they want to take your phone, or they want to kind of like get something from you because they know you're not from here, right? So it happens to most of us that go back home to visit or to have ideas that or implementation that, hey, we're going back home to go back to get in touch with our roots, support our country, support our community. And we all go through these type of forms of harassment, I would say, by police officers back home. I'm not going to sit here and say all of them are bad. Some of them are great. Some are doing their great job. Some are doing an amazing job. But the few that just want bribes and just harassment and
Mm.
harassing young people and killing us and killing young people. I mean, I highly commend Nigeria, the youth, and people that are supporting all these movements here, that unity is what will lead us in the future to be better, successful, and ambitious.
Mm. Yeah, I was just thinking as you're saying that I grew up in Kenya, and so over there when I was there, I didn't have papers, and every time it's almost like when you have money, they know they have like this thing where they can tell if you have a little bit of money. Every time I had any little change, I would end up
Trust
in their
me,
hands for some reason. Like they
trust
have
me. It's
this
like
toxic to me treating. And by the way, they will never do that to Caucasians or Asians that are in Africa.
exactly. Oh my goodness,
They
I
will
was gonna
never do
say
that
that.
here.
Like they would never stop a white man in a car, Caucasian in a car that is driving.
Mm.
It's all and somehow I don't know how, if they have a device that knows that you're not from here, or they will know that you're not from here and they will stop you.
I'm telling you,
But
they
if
know, they can sense
but
it because when I
even
was in Nairobi, and I was
like
there for 3 years.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a bit sad how your own countrymen treats you
Mm.
differently when you come back home to support, to get back into your root versus a foreigner or a white Caucasian that comes in. It's like
mm,
they exalt, they praise. It's like they worship a foreigner or Caucasian better than you, the one that are like brothers and sisters, your own countrymen or your own
yeah.
countrywomen. They treat you differently than somebody else, and it's sad.
And
It's sad that it goes that way.
yeah, and it also goes to, if you notice, and I was talking about this with our other guest last week. If you look at how, let's say, something happens in Europe or in somewhere in the Middle East, look how we rise up as Black people and put
Yeah,
our fist up and we support all these other communities, even how we support the Black Lives Matter, right? But when something
yeah,
happens in Africa, I think this is the first time with the Nigerians and maybe a little bit on the Namibian, and it's still we need more of that. But we usually don't
yeah,
rise up and support our brothers from different parts of Africa. We only rise up when it's uh, a black some like the Black
if it's
Lives
an
Matter. But
African
even that is
issue,
also
if it's
it's
an
like
African
following the
American
trend.
issue, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it is. Following the trend, and if it's a African American issue, Black Lives Matter issue, we always support. We always post it. But when it comes to our own, like Africa, and most people forget that a lot of their descendants are all from Africa. Most majority of their descendants are from Africa, and whatever happens in North America, whether it's injustice, happens everywhere.
Mm,
As
mm.
Martin Luther said it, injustice anywhere is everywhere. Like anywhere there's injustice is something that we all endure everywhere. So if it's happening in Nigeria, we should stand up, support, show up, and offer our resources and support that we can to make sure that this whole police brutality is done with. Either it's in North America, Canada, US, we all have to show up and support. It's not only in North
Yeah.
America that we have to follow the trend, but everywhere. It's even if it's in Europe, we need to support too.
Yeah, but let's do it everywhere because I think the other thing I was saying is we are not going to be creative. We're not going to be innovative living in this state of fear from our own people. Like it's one thing to be afraid of people when you're in Canada, you're afraid of police. That's a system that needs to change. We need to work. Like when we are at home, having fear from your
Yes.
own people, you will never go anywhere.
Yeah, because one thing I realized is that, to be honest, let's be real and let's be honest. The system in North
Mm,
America was not built to protect us, right? But it's
absolutely.
one thing, as you said, back home, the system is built to protect our people, our countrymen, our countrywomen. But if that
Mm,
system is rolling over and turning into a disaster, then something needs to be happening. And as
yeah.
I said, I recommend the Nigerian young people, the youth, saying enough is enough. Enough of the harassment, enough of the killing, enough because I have an iPhone. You're gonna stop me and take it and call me a Yahoo
Mm,
boy or something like that. Like all these harassment, unnecessary harassment because of that needs to stop. Especially when
yeah.
the
And
system back home is built to protect us. Now it's rolling over, which is not cool.
it's supposed to be built to protect us, but again, I think the independent movement has failed, in my opinion, and
Yes.
we just need to revisit those papers and look at what we actually signed in. Because to me, the independent movement has failed. It's not. This is not what our ancestors were looking for when they say free Africa, free independent Africa. It's not what we're
Yeah.
looking at right now. Across
I
the
mean,
board, there is a lot of things. Yeah.
to be honest, I always say, like, sometimes I sit down and shake my head, and when you hear, like, independence, like Ghana independent, we are 66 years old, we are 60 years old. You hear Congo independent, you hear Kenya independent, we are whatever age we are now, and sometimes I look and I shake my head, like, what is so independent about some of these African countries? We still depend on foreign aids. We like all our resources, things are being taken away from us. What is so independent? We depend on foreigners. We even depend on foreigners to dictate how we use our resource and money for our own people. So what is so
Yeah,
independent about these African
and I
countries
think
standing
it.
up all we are 60 years old independent? To me,
Yeah,
I shake my head, and I feel like most of our ancestors that fought for our freedom and rights are probably turning over in the grave, because that was not the vision that they envisioned for Africa. Because they,
and by the
if
way,
you look
a
at
lot of the good
if you
ones.
look at
Remember what
Kwame,
happened to all of them.
exactly, they all got
Yeah,
assassinated or one way or the other, right? So I mean, if
yeah.
you take Kwame Nkrumah for example, he's the one
Mhm.
that started the whole movement about a black man can manage his own affairs. We don't need no foreigners. We don't need any people to dictate what the resources or things in our country to be used on their term. It's our term. You know what I mean? So, uh,
Yeah.
I mean, great leaders have passed by. When you read their documentaries and you read books about them, you realize that the vision they had for Africa was far much better than what we're experiencing right now.
We got the.
A coronavirus is a type of virus that can infect the respiratory tract, meaning the nose, mouth, throat, sinuses, or lungs. There are many types of coronaviruses, and most cause only mild illness, such as the common cold. But some coronaviruses can cause severe illness. The most likely way people can become infected is by droplets that contain the virus. These droplets carry the virus into the air and can enter through the nose, mouth, throat, and lungs of a person who is within 6 feet or 2 meters. The virus infects the lungs, causing the lungs to become inflamed. The alveolar sacs have to be healthy for the body to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Infection of the virus causes damage to the cells of the lungs and triggers an inflammatory reaction. Fever may develop. With severe inflammation, inflammatory fluid fills the lungs. This reduces the function of the alveoli, resulting in coughing and difficulty breathing. The oxygen level in the blood may decrease. In some people who become severely ill, other organs may be affected, such as the kidneys or the heart.
As promised, the conversation with our brother. To me, one of the things that I like about talking to Bernard is obviously we're talking about different things. We're not just focused on the community, the community work that he does here. We also talked about obviously the international, looking at our continent, looking at where we are, and of course how we got here. So I really love those kinds of conversations. If anybody knows me, I thrive on those. So we have more of that. But at first, I wanted to do a bit of news and looking at COVID, obviously, as we always do every night. And today, what we found out is that COVID cases in Toronto, as of 2 p.m. October 18th, that is 2 days ago, there have been 20,624 cases. That is 268 new cases since October 17th, and 107 people are hospitalized. That is obviously 13 new as well, and then about 1,337 deaths. That is one new as of October 18th, and of course 20,803 people have recovered from COVID, and that is 219 new people who have recovered as of October 18th. There's also Toronto's current citywide average, meanwhile, is roughly 3.1% positive, with Ontario reporting over 800 new cases. And officials have urged tricks of treasures, of course, that is the Halloween, to avoid the Halloween to save Christmas. And we'll see if the people are going to comply. One thing about Halloween, people, of course, the whole idea of scaring and everything, I don't know if people are going to really comply on this. They might take this as a, but let's hope people listen and stay away from the trick and treasures, which is tough for young people who look forward to this event every year. And then also for Canada, we're looking at about 203,198. So 203,198 confirmed and presumptive coronavirus cases, with record hospitalizations in Manitoba. Obviously, Manitoba, we can see that it's seeing a height in new cases and we hope they can also find a way to balance and to stop that hike over the coming days. Anyway, so that is the news for COVID, and we would be bringing you more as we do every night. But let's go back to our interview with Bernard, and we'll get back to you on the other side of the interview.
The shorter end of the deal, and I think it's already in the word, by the way. There is, I don't know, remember the person's name, but if you look at the word independent, it's independent. You're not actually free. You're still depending into somebody. And I think we just got what we say we got, which is we're still independent of someone else to come and give us the bread. And as you say, an upright man anywhere should be able to manage their own affairs. And to
Yeah,
me, the Africa, the way it's set up, we are not standing upright. As Thomas Sankara said as well, we are not. We are not. The upright man is the, to me, how Africa is running right now. It needs to change. Now I know there are some governments that are pushing and trying to make change, but we need to be looking at the involvement of many sectors. Like, what is IMF doing? What is the World Bank doing? What are all these entities doing in Africa, and what are they getting as a result? Are they there for us, or are they there for the Western interest, which we know is the case?
yeah. I mean, by the way,
Yeah.
Thomas Sankara is one of my favorite hero, West African hero.
Man, trust me, if you are an African who is looking for the liberation of our people, Thomas Sankara, as naive as he was, because I think he didn't think that he was still in the era of, and it's not just him. I think most of our leaders were naive at that time. They thought they could just achieve what they set out to do, and they didn't know that within their ranks, there could come somebody, to, pretty much destroy everything that they were building. But no, Thomas
Yeah,
Sankara
yeah,
is
that's
the
true.
truest man.
Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara. Um, you
Patrick
have
Lumumba out in Congo.
oh my goodness, those are beautiful people, man. Beautiful people, beautiful
Yeah.
mind. And when you look at their age, Thomas Sankara,
Yeah.
I think he
Like
became
20s and early 30s.
33,
Yes.
33. He was
Yeah.
33 when he became, like, you see the age and vision and things that they had. Oh my goodness. If we just gave them a better, like, timeline, if they were supposed to, if they were in our modern day right now, I think things would be so much like, yo, the
You know
vision
what
they
I always
have.
say,
If
that Bernard? What I always say is, if Martin Luther King was not assassinated, if Malcolm X was not assassinated, if all of these people we lost in that time were not assassinated, that's really what's missing in our community. Those were the people that we should now be looking to as mentors and leaders in their 80s and 90s and 100s, right? Those should have been
yeah,
our sort of the seniors that we go to. But guess what?
yeah,
They cut us all from under our knee, and we got to start from scratch. And the people who took over were not really interested in supporting the Black liberation. They were just supposed to pretend, but it was really more of a European movement, still reading here in Americas, but also in Africa.
yeah. That's true. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at a lot of African leaders, like, they were ahead of their time. They were when you look at Kwame Nkrumah, the way he used Ghana resources to liberate 13 African countries to get independent. You know what I mean? Like, Ethiopia loved Kwame Nkrumah, Cote d'Ivoire, like, a lot of 13 African countries gained India independent through Kwame Nkrumah, with the resources that Ghana had and its ambition and to unite Africa together. He's the one that created the African Union. Now it's called African Union, with the
Mm.
vision of, look at uh, a lot of great people.
And maybe briefly, how do you think we get back to that? How do you think we get back to? I know people go through like the Pan African movement. I'm not necessarily a true believer of the Pan African movement. I still want them to succeed. But like, what are the approach that you think we should take to actually get back to that level? And I mean both here in Canada, in the Americas, but obviously in Africa.
Me, I believe, I think one thing that, few things, I would say a few things that uh, in this kind of situation will help us is, we need all the support that we can get. You know, when somebody say they support you, they have to mean it that they support you. You know what I mean? We need structure. We need, seriously, we need structure from the ground or the grassroots. Like we need structure, proper structure. You know, in terms of like, greediness or envy, those are something that we seriously, like for us, blacks or Africans, we need to start working on seriously. Like greediness, because somebody will give you this X amount of money, and it hurts me because sometimes our leaders don't see I don't know if they see past the future, because if they give you $10 million and say, we want to come and destroy or take this kind of resources, that resources in the future will even bring more money than the $10 million they gave you. That's something that we don't see past. Like some of our leaders
Mm,
don't see past it, because some resources can can give you far much money than anything. But because they want the money and they're greedy, they want the money right
mm,
now. They would rather accept that money right now than to, kind of nurture the resource, find ways, structure a way to, you know, be successful with that kind of resources that Africa or Mother Africa has been able to give
mm,
as people, as country. And I feel like sometimes when you look at these leaders, things that they do with the country, and the money that they squander is, and the people that are, you know still the poverty rate, the like the education rate, the low education rate that's going on in some African countries, you know the child trafficking, certain issues that is happening in most African countries. Like our leaders are just turned blindly on it, don't really care. As long as their families are having the best education in abroad or in North America, that's all they care about. It's all about them. They don't care about the people. So sometimes it just breaks my heart that all these things are going on, and some of our leaders are just turned a blind eye and just are
mm,
into for themselves. And I believe that unity, support, and structure, we have to really have a proper structure. We can't just do anything left and right, and just pray and hope it works. We have to structure our thoughts. We have to structure how we want to proceed in supporting. We have to
mm.
structure things that we want to do in the groundwork when we go back home, to invest, to support, to build a better Africa in general.
Yeah, and I love that, man. Structure, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but from an individual to organization to community level, definitely that is something that is needed. Having a structure and actually having your actions match what you say. For example, a lot of our people who are in diaspora say, "Oh, we need to improve and we need to be treated fair." But sometimes when we go back home, we don't treat our own people fairly. We would try to pay them the minimum, not even minimum wage, obviously, back home it's beyond, it's like slave wage. And we have the capacity to pay somebody a living wage, but we don't do that. So to me, that's also part of the problem. It's yes, you're living
Yeah,
under an oppression, but you go and oppress your own people when you go back home. Like we need to really mean what we say through our actions and what we do. Just because you can hire somebody for $5, don't hire them for $5 because you know that the
yeah,
living wage is not $5.
that's true. I mean, I remember when I went back home, even when I came here, one of my friends back home, she sells bags, uh, and she was asking me that if I can support and help. So I asked her like how much is the bags, and she's like, this is how much I'm selling it for, and be 100 Ghana cities for each or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll buy three and keep the change. So I bought three, and I told her to give. I didn't. It's a woman purse. I don't need it, but I bought
Yeah,
three just to for
mm,
her to you
of
know
course.
start from the ground. I didn't ask her for, oh, can you reduce the price? Or I'll buy three if you reduce the price. She told me this is the price. I'm like, great.
Mm,
I'll send you the money. I'll buy three bags. Whatever change is left, keep it. Use it to
yeah.
support your business, and that's how I think most of us needs to do. We need to stop asking for a reduced price all the time. Like we see somebody because they're black, they're selling something. Oh, like I'm gonna buy it if you give me a cheaper price. No, when you go to H&M, you don't tell the counter the person at the counter,
Yeah.
please give me a discount before I buy it. No, you buy whatever is there, and that's how you
Yeah.
support them. That's why they become rich. That's how we need to have the
Absolutely.
mindset to support our people. If a person comes to you and saying they're selling like, what do you call it, a water for $1,
Mhm.
support. If you have, support. If you don't have, tell them you don't have right now. You support later on.
Yeah.
But to
But if
ask
you
for
have the
discounts and
capacity,
this
just
and
go.
that, yeah, that to me, that kind of frustrates me sometimes, because we go and we support the Chinese market. We support, the Walmarts and the H&Ms and the Gucci, where you would never see somebody go up to a Gucci store and say, oh, this small bag is 1,000 or $1,500 for this small bag. Can you give me a
Mm.
discount before I buy it? No, because you go there, you know that you can never ask for discount, and they sell what they
Yeah.
sell. Either you buy or you leave, and that's how we need
Yeah.
to do with our people too. You buy it or you leave. It's just simple. Just support and not
Absolutely.
ask for, the backhand
Absolutely. And
discounts.
I think, yeah, I think that's what we're gonna end this discussion. Have the mindset to support. Forget about all this. Like,
Yes,
if you really wanna, if you're all about change, have the mindset to support and go back to that structure. We all need it from our individual, community, and of course our organizations. Before we end this, let the audience know where to find you on social media and if you have websites as well.
So right now I am on Facebook. You can find me Bernard Kofi Blessing L. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm much more productive on Instagram. On Facebook, LinkedIn is Bernard Laryea. You type my name, Bernard, Bernard. My last name Laryea, Laryea on LinkedIn. Instagram is Bernard Kofi Blessing L. You find me, connect, let's link, let's do the groundwork, let's support our community, let's be there for each other, and let's see us grow as individual.
Thank you so much, Bernard. And I definitely, personally, I'm one of those people that's going to reach out to you, and I need to see what we can do together because I know you're there on the ground. And in meantime, I wish you all the best. Stay safe, obviously, and we look forward to seeing the work you're going to be doing in days to come.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your platform for giving us the voice to speak our mind, to support each other and to support us. We really appreciate your platform too. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, man. We'll do our best.
All right, thank you.
All right, peace.
Hello. Tonight, I would like to challenge our leaders. I would like to put out a challenge to anyone in the community that's doing community work, leadership work, advocacy work, or any work that involves our community, our members, and people who are looking to advance throughout the country here in Canada, but also globally. I'm looking at our leaders as African Canadians. I'm looking at our leaders as Africans. From what we've been talking about over the course of the last month or so, one of the challenges that we keep coming back to is the challenge of capacity, the challenge of self-sufficiency, the challenge of good governance. And I think I would like to put out this challenge, and this is a challenge to myself as well, as an aspiring leader in the community, to really look at what we are doing and ask ourselves, is this or does what we do serve the generations that are going to come after us? Do the work that we do, if done right, would it be passed on to the generations to come? Because I think once you ask yourself that, then you have to dig deeper. You have to really look at the vision that you're bringing forth. And one of the things that I've seen that I think that has gotten our people, our communities, our countries, our nations into trouble is having leaders who have no vision, or working on yes, pursuing the leadership role, but really having no vision for the community, having no vision for the future. And so do we have this vision? Are we really involved in the work because we want to put our name out there, or do we really have a vision that is going to support the work of our people, but also more importantly, that is going to support the work of our children for generations and generations and generations to come? I've always challenged you and people that come across to have a vision that is beyond your lifetime. And I even push it further and say, at least have a vision that is at least 200 years. If your vision is at least 200 years, you know for sure that it's going to outpass you, it's going to out-survive you, and it is going to serve your children's children. And if you want to go even crazier and go further, think about 2,000 years in the future. What would your community look like? What would your nation look like in 2,000 years? Because if you can think that way, then you're no longer looking at the interests of yourself, immediate interest. You're not even looking at the immediate interest of your community. Let's say, for example, as a Rwandan, if I'm thinking 2,000 years in the future, I'm not necessarily just looking at the community that I'm from only. I'm also looking at the people that I'm around, black people, African people. But even more, I'm looking at the entire society. Because 2,000 years in the future, we are, for sure, if we succeed in the work that we're doing, we should not be looking at each other from the colors of whether you're Caucasian or African or Asian. We should be looking at it in a more harmonious manner. We know we're not going to get there tomorrow, but at least for me, in my vision, there should be that future where we all come together in the end. So my challenge to you, my challenge to the community today is, what is the vision? Do you have a vision? Are the people that you're serving, do they understand that vision? And if you don't, then maybe today is the day to sit and think about that.